Oh my God, no matter how much I try to time it, every time I end up repeating the intro. Anyway, hello and thank you for joining us. Well, it's just me. I say us, but it's just me. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I did. I went to Saint Pete to watch to see for a concert. Went to see Sax Sabbath. Amazing. Had a great time. But now we're back here today. Um, I made a poll last week as to what do you guys wanted me to do today, and designing a tattoo was what won. So that's what we're gonna be working on today. We're gonna be working on a tattoo, and what I'm going to do instead of just creating something uh, from scratch like I did on the first video, I'm going to use tomorrow's appointment and take advantage of this opportunity to show you how I go about an actual tattoo design that I'm going do to tattoo tomorrow. So I'm going to change the camera. Uh, I'll change that in a second, and we'll start in a few minutes. So don't go away. Bear with me for a minute while I do this thing. Let me see if I learned something. All right, so settings. Aha! There it is. So that's not a design. That was just something to make sure that I had the right angle. Like always, I'm gonna be showing off one of my sketch covers. I'm going to go and turn off that light. So if you guys excuse me for a second. Oh yeah, that's much better. Way much better. All right, let me take all these rings off. Move the microphone this way. Check this Maleficent original drawing on the Dynamite comic. That's a one of a kind drawing. It's ink and acrylics, and inks, acrylics, and color pencils. I was gonna say water pencils, which would have not made any sense. All right. Reminding you guys that I am available for commissions at the moment, and that all of the sketchbooks that I show in every episode are available for sale. So if you want it, contact me, and I'll give you a nice price if you mention that you saw it here on this on the stream. Okay, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties, so bear with me for another second, please. Ella usó mi cabeza como un revólver. All right. It's going to be fun. Ciencia con sus demonios. All right, let me get this out of the way. Get this out of the way. Oh, it also includes a sticker. All right, let's do this. I wasted enough of your time already. Nope, that's what I need. All right, take this off. Or not. Why are you not closing? There you go. Jesus. All right. What am I going to do? Here it is. So I already sketched, like, I pre-sketched the whole design when he came in for the consultation a few days ago. and we talk about what he wanted and the size. Originally, I thought we were just going to be working on smaller space in his back. I thought we were going to be working like around this area. So I made the original drawing that I did was too small for what he wanted. And just scaling the drawing was not going to work because when I designed something for a smaller space, I omit a lot of details that are being insinuated by the shading and the way I tattoo instead of actually drawing them in. That's a way to minimize all of these details mushing together with time. And scaling that drawing, making it bigger was not going to work because I will still have to draw in all of that detail that will be needed for a larger space. But I took the opportunity, since I couldn't tattoo him that day, to then turn that appointment into a consultation, and we work on what he wanted. I have worked with him previously and did some underwater creatures on his arm. I lost my train of thought there for a second. Uh, on his arm, so we already have these underwater sea uh, creatures going on already. All we're going to do is just be expanding or on what he has. So for this, I am going to do so. It's going to be different to my usual tattoo designs. Uh, this one he wants it to look more realistic, which is not something that I always do, but I've when I do it, they look good and he likes it. So that's all that matters. That he likes it and that it looks good, obviously. I don't think I have a picture to show. I should have had that. Well, in hindsight, I should have had that ready, but doesn't matter. That's not what we're here for. Since we're going to go with a more realistic interpretation for his tattoo, I'm going to use pictures and instead of drawings, and I'm going to trace these pictures to try to capture as much detail as possible, so that translates to the tattoo. Clear. Let me erase his back because I don't need that layer right now. So that back is pretty big. Like from here to here is a whole. Basically, this would be paper, an 8 by 10, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, one here to put together the whole design. So although I'm going to be making this drawing in just one uh, 8 by 8.5 by 11 size canvas, when I print it, that'll be this whole paper will be just the first half, and then I enlarge the other part to fit on the other side, the other part. Oh my god, I keep doing the same thing over and over as if I don't know what I'm doing. Apparently, I don't know. Jesus. I'm gonna restart everything. What a day. Right, so this is my favorite pen. My favorite brush is the technical pen that comes, the standard pen from Procreate. Although I have a bunch of other, that's way too much. And some of them have some texture and stuff like that. I almost everything I sketch it with that one, and I have already those three sizes uh, ready for what I want. Okay, so this is the original sketch. Where did that little shark come from? There. Now it's gone. And this for the original. I'm gonna put these things all in a group so that I can move them easier. There it is. Everything is off. Now when I enlarge the whole thing, all of the layers enlarge with it. I don't have to try and match it. So what I did is that I found different pictures, as you can tell, and put them together in a cohesive design, or as cohesive as I can. This, let me show you how this would look more or less. No, that's okay. So this is the original one that I was working on that I thought was going to be smaller. It's going to have some shading, sort of like that. But when he came in, he wanted it. We talk about it being bigger, so we scratch that and we start from scratch. Scratch, scratch. Jesus, Gambit. All right, so I have a new layer on top of it, and I'm going to just choose one of these three original pictures, and I already know where they're already positioned where I want them because I already did this beforehand. And then what I do is that I use what I need from each picture and then erase what I don't want and add elements like, for example, these sharks. They are not in any of those pictures. I added those later, and I might change the way those fishes that are going around, how I put them around the other drawing. Oh, it's easy, man. I just go here to hi, running, by the way, hello. Uh, I go here where it says share, and I choose what type of format I want, and I usually go with PDF best quality because for some reason when I print a JPEG, it prints pixelated, and it really doesn't affect the stencil when I make the stencil and when I'm tattooing, but it bothers me visually. And I go to and I use PDF and I choose the printer that I want and I print it. It's as easy as if I had a keyboard, Control P, and I'll print that thing. Print that thing. Well, this is iOS, so it would be a different, it would be command instead of control. Anyways, I'm talking now. I'm just rambling. All right. I lowered the opacity of the picture so that I can see what I'm doing. I already have the layer on top. Make sure that the opacity is at 100% so that when I work, I can see it. I usually, like in the other exercise with the other design, I go and I do a very loose drawing, and then I use that to make my stencil. But since we're going for a more realistic approach for this tattoo, I am going to take my time and make a more polished drawing of what I'm going to tattoo. So I only put a solid line where I know I'm going to do not a solid line, but where I know I want the darkest part. And this is to make sure that when I'm shading this tattoo, I leave this area softer instead of marking it with another line and get carried away and go like da, 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 and put a line there that I don't need, because I want that. See how it's not like a sharp line like this; it's more soft. So that's what I want to be remembered when I look at the stencil. I very rarely put the picture as reference up when I'm tattooing. I do this and I work with the stencil that I make. And since I already spent the time drawing it, I remember. That's what I. There's a bunch of there's a not a bunch. I know of one. I was gonna say there's a bunch, but I know of one app that turns the picture into. You can make a stencil out of the picture without going through all this trouble of actually having to draw the damn thing. But I don't like it, not because it doesn't do a good job in changing the picture into the drawing for the stencil, but sometimes it's too busy. And when I'm doing something, when I'm doing tracing a picture like this to make a stencil, there's a bunch of things, there's a bunch of lines that I don't do because I we just seeing it in the picture, I know, and so that saves me time in drawing. And you'll notice that when I'm doing this, you there's going to be moments where I'm just gonna not draw certain areas because I don't need to draw them. I can be a little bit more loose when I'm shading and get the same message across in the actual tattoo without having to do the thing and spend too much time when making the stencil. In this case, since we're going to be working with a pretty large piece, um, oh no, yeah, the video is frozen. What is happening here? Thank you for letting me know, Nicolas. What is happening? Haha. Let's try this again. I apologize for the. Thank you for letting me know, Nicolas. I had not noticed. Hmm. Wow, come on. Which one? Let it go? No, I refuse. I refuse. But what is happening? All right, guys, I need you to bear with me for a second while I try to fix my technical difficulties here. Let me see. Let's go ahead and stop the cam. Oh, come on. What are you doing? All right, guys, I am so sorry. I don't know what's happening with the camera. Stop it. I'm gonna turn the camera off and restart it. See if that works. In the meantime, hello, darkness, my old friend. Right, right. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, God. All right, so I don't know what's happening with my camera right now, and this is infuriating me. Having issues? Yes, I am having issues. Hello. I guess you're gonna have to see my face for a minute while I try to figure this out. Oh man, this is highly inconvenient right now. Very frustrating. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Please tell me you guys see that. Yes, Ronnie. There's a chance that it's an internet problem. It's been raining a lot today, so it might be that. It might be that I'm having internet issues. Um, it's back on, so let's try and continue. Let's try and continue this. Hopefully, it won't be a problem anymore. All right, let's get back to this. Where was I? Oh, yes, I was working with this total. So I'm working in a. It's going to be a bigger design than usual, and wave this turtle looks mean. She looks mean. She looks angry. You gotta get mean. That's from Dodgeball. Man, I love that movie. Okay, so this is dotted lines is to indicate where I'm going to start shading and not have a line that I will make like same concept as this. That way I don't accidentally go and put a line. So I can put more detail into this drawing because it's going to be pretty pretty big now. Just so that we have an idea. So if this is the size of the paper and this top part of the whole situation, like this top part is going to be the whole drawing is going to be like I'm expecting it to be like this big. So I will just rotate the paper to get the size that I want. But it'll be pretty big. So that means I can put that detail in when I'm tattooing it, which is where I will put all this detail mostly. It's going to be while tattooing it. Now it's just going to be some markings here and there of where I know I'm going to put some lines and some shading because I don't want to spend too much time in the drawing to then spend 8 to 10 hours more in the tattoo. I don't like to do too many solid areas like that when I'm drawing the for the stencil. That way, when I'm making the stencil in the machine, when I'm transferring it to the paper, it's not too messy. I try to make my stencils as clean as possible, especially when they're smaller. But like I said, these are a little bit bigger, so I can go crazy with it if I want to, which I want to because it's going to be a more realistic interpretation of the image that we're seeing instead of doing an illustrated version, which I probably will be done with the drawing by now. In this one, I have to pay more attention to where things are and make sure that I'm consistent in my light source throughout the whole image, not just the picture that I'm tracing. And since I'm right now just, tracing this picture for the purpose of getting the most accurate possible interpretation of this image so that when you see the tattoo, you see, oh yeah, that's a turtle, and I'll be like, what is that? I'm going to try. It's going to be a little bit difficult to make it happen because I have the recording equipment at the office, and this is not where I tattoo. And the studio is like 5 minutes from here, so it's not a big deal. It's more about space and being comfortable while I'm tattooing. But if I can set up one camera to record it, not to transmit live, I like to keep my customers' privacy when I'm working with them, uh, unless it's something that we agree beforehand that hey, I'm going to do a live video. Do you mind? And have them sign a consent form and all that. We do that. We plan it in advance, not just be he arrives tomorrow. We're like, hey, by the way, I'm gonna set up this camera and like my 10 followers are going to see what's happening. All right, same thing. Little dotted line so that I remember where I'm going to start the shading. Jason Momoa's future roommates. Dude, I wish. Okay, was testing that it wasn't frozen again. It's a mean turtle. So I'm gonna create a new layer here. Or not. Why is it not letting me do that? How many layers do we have here? Hmm, a lot. That's why. Delete. I don't need that. Yes, but where is it? Where's my add lay the little arrow to add layers? All of the technical problems today. There it is. It's not a technical problem. I needed to choose a layer first. It was a user error. It took so long to get to this point that now the joke is not going to be funny. This angry turtle reminds me of Raphael from the Ninja Turtles, and I was gonna do a nice bandana here because I know there's a few turtle fans in the audience. Anyway, all right, back to work. Stop it. Okay, this is the later I'm working. I can delete that one. We go back to black. Back in black. This one's going to be at the moment of me tattooing it. I'm gonna make this one a little bit more opaque than the one than this one to get that sense of distance. Gives a little bit more realism to the image. Which I'm no expert in realistic tattoos. I take it as realistic as I can take it, but it's still an artistic interpretation of it. So that's why I don't like to call it realism. And that's why I don't advertise that I do realism tattoos. It's just very close to it because I don't have the skills to do those hyper realistic tattoos. I know I can get there, but my patience doesn't let me. The amount of time it'll require to do something hyper realistic, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I could have not do that fish there and draw the turtle without them, but why would I do that, right? We already have some nice fish here. It gives more life to the whole design. So, what tattoo style do you hate to do or say you'd rather not do? That's a good question. Um, I can't say that I hate any tattoo style in particular because I really love tattooing. So it doesn't matter what style I have to end up working the design. I'm still going to have fun. Uh, but I don't like doing color. I shouldn't say I don't like doing color because, like I said, I do enjoy it. But it is my least favorite to work with colors. For me, colors have always been color theory for me has always been a problem to figure out. I don't know why. I don't understand why, but I don't always like how my color work comes out. It's not that it's bad. It's just a personal thing. So I prefer not do color stuff and just do black and gray. For realism, I definitely do black and gray. I wouldn't even attempt to do uh, realism in color. If it's a portrait, it has to be a portrait of a character like that. I will take the risk. It's kind of easier to make Anakin Skywalker look like Anakin Skywalker than trying to make Rob look like Rob. My cousin's friend in a picture, because you can get away with, like I said, an artistic interpretation of the character, and once you get to a certain point you recognize the character and that's it. But if it's a family member or something like that, it's people that you've seen your whole life. When you look at that drawing, you're gonna notice everything that does not look like that person. So I wouldn't attempt to do that in color. In black and gray now, I would definitely do it. No problem. I don't need to add those lines. I don't know. It's just to that I remember that that's where the shadow goes. The light is going to be coming from here. Gonna all right. So we have that going on there. Mm, mm, mm. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo-doo. All right, let me go back to the original drawing so that I remember what part I'm doing next. Haha, little clownfish. They're not really that funny though. Ah, me neither. I'm sorry, guys. I'll see myself out. All right, where was I? All right, okay. Okay. See how this fin here, fin flipper, I don't know what it's called in English. It's very light. That's why I do these lines here. I don't connect them. Just that I don't go. Let me go back. So when I'm making the tattoo, I don't go like and put a whole line like this all over it and make it look like that, because that's not what we're going for. So these parts that are very light, I just go light over them. This is going to be more solid. I can go and do that. Go ahead and do that. So when you're looking for pictures to put together for your tattoo design, if you're gonna go with a more realistic approach, definitely make sure that you find good pictures that you can see what your the detail well, and then and don't go, putting things that don't go there, and you have a fish with an extra flipper or something like that. Like I saw a tattoo not long ago of a bird. The tattoo is not. It's actually not bad. It's a good tattoo, but it has a piece of feather that the bird doesn't have in that area, in a specific area. And if you know what you're looking at, you'll be like, what is that? And I ask a few questions, and the picture that they had wasn't the best quality. So when the stencil was being made, there were some lines that were not part of the shouldn't have been part of the stencil. But it's okay. It happens. It's still a very pretty tattoo. Very pretty tattoo. I have to make sure that not all my fishes look like they're angry. I mean, if I was a fish, I would be pissed. But yeah, you don't want them to be look mean. See? So I would normally leave that this here like it was, like that. But like I said, I want to try to reach a level of realism that is not my usual. So I'm gonna try to keep it as one to the picture as possible. And like I was saying earlier, since there's an app that turns it into a stencil, but it gets too busy. Or and not only that, I meet doing it by hand when the time comes for me to do the actual tattoo. I remember how it looks. I remember where things go, so I can work a little bit faster that way. The only downside is that I end up doing the same drawing a few times before I start the tattoo, and by the end you're like, oh my god, I don't want to see another fish in my life. It's not true. Remind me of the Urukai from Lord of the Rings, the white hand of Saruman in the face. Oh, I saw a video the other day of someone putting their hands in sugar or something and putting the hand then on top of their dogs, and they look funny as well. They're little pugs, so they were really funny looking with a hand, white hand on their skin, on their head. So I'm zooming in into this thing to make this stencil because um the I usually try to keep my drawings where I can see the whole design without having to, you know, go too far back or something like that. Every once in a while I try to zoom out and see the whole picture. But since I'm, like I said, I'm trying to copy these pictures as close to one as possible. I don't mind doing the zoom thing. In this case, it's okay. I mean, it's not that it's not okay. It's just that it's recommended that you look at your drawing from far away so you can see the whole picture. And at first, when I started doing digital art, oh my God, what a blessing to be able to be like, oh, yes, I can do this and get all these incredible detail. But when you print that, all that detail that you did is going to be so tiny that it's going to get lost and not tattooable in case of it being a tattoo. You learn those things the hard way. So I try to, when people ask me, I try to give them from my experiences. Again, this is not a tutorial. This is how I do things. There's plenty of things that you can do differently or better than I do, but this is how it's been working for me. And if it's not broken, why fix it, right? I focus on learn. I focus on learning other things because this has been working so far. But as always, I'm always willing to learn new things. So if you have a better way to doing this and you want to share with me, please do so. I would appreciate it. See, this part here it's clear, so you can barely see there's no line here actually. You can't see a line, but I don't need it. Like I said, we're trying to achieve some realism. You just have to make sure that I don't accidentally put a line there. Like all of these lines that I'm doing right now, since I know I already did made this one and I did this already, I know that whatever other ones I do are going to have the same, not the same markings, but they're things that are the same, like these lines in the tail and here. Maybe the markings in the body are not exactly the same. See how this one is wide here on top and this one isn't, but they follow the same rule. It's like a thicker line and then the white inside. Almost everything follows the same rule. So if I were, I'm not gonna use this one here. I think. Let me see. Yeah, that one's not. I didn't include it on the original drawing. But if I were to, I with me just doing the outline and where I'm going to put certain things, I can tattoo the rest without having to go over and trace the whole thing. Again, the reason I'm tracing it and not doing it the way I usually approach my other designs is because we're trying to get some realism. And there's a stencil printer that prints from the picture and you get all of the detail from the picture, and that will make the stencil 100 times easier to tattoo. I might try that one. I'm pretty sure with that I would be able to get the detail, the extra detail, to just to push it to make it more realistic. But then again, I don't want to do a, a picture as a tattoo. It's not what I do. Those lines, it's for me to indicate where the shading is gonna go. Same principle as this dotted line there. And I can put it here too. Let me go back to the original. Okay. Take this off. Okay. Now we're gonna add the the yeah, don't hurt yourself, kid. Some Finding Nemo reference right there. Fell over heels. You see with this part, I only adding. I'm only doing the outline of each individual and not making any markings for the shading because I already established where the light source is coming from with the other drawings. So I just follow that same pattern. I wanted to, that way the lighting from these pictures is not the same lighting from this one. So if I replicate this one and I then replicate that one, it's going to cause a conflict. We don't want that. So I already established with the main elements, the turtles and the clownfish, where I was going to have the light coming from. So these parts here, I just do the line, the main outline, and I can do the rest while I'm tattooing, save some time. Like this dude here shouldn't be here because there. I'm not gonna use that. I have to make sure I don't go crazy drawing things that I'm not going to actually tattoo or use from this picture because you get so caught up in it and then you draw the whole thing and when you put the other parts like oh my god you realize that you're going to have to erase 20% of your drawing. I can afford to be a little bit more loose with this part because when I'm tattooing I'll make sure that I put all of the detail on these and the background, although it'll be detailed and you will be able to read it well and see what it is, I can afford to let loose a little bit more and essentially make shit up as I go. You see, and now I'm rushing this part here, which is what I try to avoid. That's why I try to not to make the stencils as clean as possible because it gets to a point where I'm just done with it. I just want to be over with it, and I go like And with this tattoo being so much bigger, I don't wanna I don't wanna do that. I want, like I said, want to keep the realism as close to realism as possible. Okay, so what other elements I'm using from this picture? On these dudes here. Let me tell you guys, the concert this weekend was amazing. For those of you who are not familiar with Sack Sabbath, it's Zach Wild from Black Label Society and Ozzy Osbourne playing with with Blasco and I forgot his name. I know his last name is Castillo, the drummer. Just a three piece playing Black Sabbath songs. Oh my god, insane, insane. If you're not familiar with Black Label Society or Zach Wild, go check it out. It's pretty cool. I mean, if you like metal, of course. If you don't like it, don't go looking for it because you're gonna be disappointed. Okay, I don't need any of that. So we can take this picture out. Ooh, it's so square. I hate that. But now I added this thing here. Okay, so this is where I'm going to stop. No, yes. Confundido. There you go. See, this is what I was telling you guys about getting going crazy drawing and then realizing that, oh shit, I have to erase some parts of it because I got carried away. Very light on that part here because I don't want it. Oh my god, I hope this tattoo comes out really cool. Imagine that, all this troll and then the tattoo doesn't look like this. I would die. This is a mistake. I'm using this coral here. That's a bunch of thin lines. But here I can go a little bit crazier with the shading and texture and get across the same message without having to actually draw 100,000 little lines because nobody wants to draw 100,000 little lines, right? All right. See, like this part here, I can leave it like that open if I wanted to, because then I will put some shade in here that will cover, connect these things together. I don't have to actually go and put all that detail. How is it already an hour into this thing? Oh my god. I'm gonna have to you guys watching, do you want me to extend it a little bit more or just stop where I stop and then show you the final product when it's finished? Because if we're gonna continue, we can continue for a little bit more. If not, then we're very close to finishing today's stream. Oh, you know what? We lost a few minutes, so I'm gonna I'm gonna extend it today because we were dark for like 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know. I didn't actually count it. I don't know what those lines were. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. So I'm going to put some bubbles coming up here, similar to that. And since this line that I don't connect it down here, I know that I'm going to put some shading here in the back, and that's what's going to be like. This is something like that, but not more. Damn it, more like that. Yeah, something like this. Something like that. Anyway, now what I'm going to do now. I'm still working on the other stuff. Okay, so I'm missing another picture here for this bottom part. Okay, the little sharks. Where are my sharks? Shark, shark. There's this one here. And there's this one here. Look for the original. See. So, all right. These sharks are going to be in the background. So all I need from them is just the outline because most of it is going to be covered in shadows. I'm still gonna leave some marking, some I'm gonna still gonna draw some areas, even though I'm probably going to hide it all in shadows anyways. But that's because that way I can see, and when I'm putting all that shading, I make sure that I keep the correct shape when it comes to determine the highlights and where the light's gonna be hitting it. And sometimes I will add that little detail, and then when I shade over it, I leave that area just a little bit lighter so you can see that there's that an eye in there, stuff like that. But again, this is going to be like an inch. This square here is an inch. I have it set up to be inch. Each grid, the grid is each little square is an inch in size, so I know how big it's going to be in real life when I print it. I'll take a in a different. Why a different layer just for this? Because I'm going to make some lines that I'm going to put over the drawing because it's easier that way. And then I erase what I don't need from it. Bam. Now I hide this. No, not that one, this one. There you go. See? And I go in and I erase where those lines are not going to be. That way, when I print this thing to get it tattooed, to do the tattoo, these lines are not going to be in the way. And these are my guidelines for the light. I am not going to tattoo these black bold lines here, but I do need them so that I know. what I'm going to do with the background. Que se trata la canción. I don't need those lines right now, so I'm gonna hide them for now. Or I can put it like that. El puente. El estribillo. Okay, so now I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do with this bottom part here. I can go ahead and I can use this same part from this picture, and I can use these parts here, and I don't have to spend time looking for them, looking for something that'll match that. Mm, this is in the background. Okay, so I'm just gonna use this one. Solo de guitarra de una sola nota. Black Bolt. Ahora que dice Black Bolt, este fin de semana, this past weekend, I went to St. Pete for that concert. So we stopped at, I was staying at a friend's house, and we went to the mall to take his kids to the mall and play some arcade before the concert. And I went into the FYE store, which I haven't been into an FYE store in a while. Anyway, when I go in, it didn't have a single DVD or Blu-ray. Like, what? It's just toys and some electronics. No more Blu-rays or DVDs in this store. I'm just like, that's insane. I've never been to a. It's like back in the day going to a Sam Goody and not having music or movies in it. It was really weird. It was really weird. Okay. So hello, Emma Senshi. How are you? You need to send me the description of your character so I can make that commission for you. All right. So I know that all this is going to be shaded in, but not like that. It's gonna be look a little bit better than that. But at this part, this bottom part here, when I put this, let's go and look at it in the back, on his back. I still have to draw that part, but shit. I don't wanna, there you go. When we put this in his back, which is going to be like this big. Yeah, he already has a tattoo there that I don't want to cover up, but I don't want, and I can get too big. There you go. There it is, because it's like half of his back. See, so now I know that this part here, all this part that I haven't drawn yet, is chances are is going to go and wrap around his side. So I have to keep that in mind when I'm making the drawing. So that way, when I'm putting that stencil on, I don't accidentally put too much detail in that area, and then everything smooches together and it's a pain to tattoo. But more or less, that's how it'll look. Everybody hurts. What do I have that song stuck in my head now? Sometimes. Do, do, do. Sometimes everything is wrong. Sometimes everything is wrong. That's not what I wanted to do. It was that. Days are alone. Where was I? Okay, this is where I was. Trying to grab my hair out of my hands. Everybody hurts. Right. Oh my God. I suck at this. I need an editor here with me to be working on these things while I'm working. So that I don't forget to do those things. Again, keeping in mind that this part is going to be all wrapping around his side, and I don't want too much of it to go to the side because that's not where we want to work. We want to make sure that we keep it inside the back area and not his side. I'm pretty sure this is just enough. And when I'm tattooing, I can replicate this thing by just looking at this, and I can tattoo the rest, no problem. So this part here, I really don't actually need to spend more time than I already spent in it. And there's this empty space here, right in the middle. I kind of like this thing that was here, but it's all the way up in the back, and it'll be in the way of the ones that I put here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to see how it ends and make just a smaller version and end it around this area here. And this one here. Everybody hurts sometimes. Everybody hurts. And I'm not going to put any more detail inside of it because I will then shade all of this like this. Just for me to remember that all this is to be hidden in shadows. Everybody hurt. Hold on. There it is. Ta ta. So something along those lines. When the time comes for me to print this stencil tomorrow, I will, and let me make sure that, there you go. I'm gonna duplicate all of that so that I can play with this. No, what did I do? What did I do? Nothing. Boom. There you go. Now I have just one image that I can play with it. So when the time comes for me to print this, I am going to like enlarge this. I was gonna clean my room, and then I'm going to like when I print it, it'll be like this. I will use one paper to print it bigger, and then I will print what's left on the other side of the paper. And then I will put the stencil on in two parts, one part first and part one, and then the other. Do, 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 do. All right. So I think this works for what I'm going to do tomorrow. If anything, I want to add more things before the tattoo. Well, I know now for sure that tomorrow I will add something in this area. So I might add a school of fishes in that area. Is that what it's called? And I will make sure that I outline the details that I want to be very noticeable, so that like right here, this part right here, when I turn this into a stencil, this is all going to be a mess and I won't be able to read that. And it'll make things more difficult for me to tattoo. So, oh man, I just realized that I had an extra light that I shouldn't have on. Man, I'm a mess today. Anyway, so this part would be a mess when I print it and try to use as a stencil. So I will go over it tomorrow before my appointment and just outline certain things to make sure they're properly separated and you can see it easy. So that when I print it and I put that stencil, nothing looks out of place or out of whack. And the lines, how the lines in the back work, I am going to do something along these lines. Let me show you. Soft airbrush, and I lower the opacity and something the other way because it's darker on the bottom side. I did it the other way around. Right, something like that. Let me lower this thing, and you know, all this will be not covered by that black. So when the customer walks in those doors tomorrow, before he gets tattooed, I will show him this. It's gonna be a little bit more completed than this. And even though I'm going to hide these sharks in in shade in the background, in shadows in the background, I still erase this a little bit because they're going to be hidden in the background in the shadows, but you still want to be able to tell the shape and what it is, and not just be flat black, right? So now I'll go in a smaller brush, but the same type of brush, and I know that this is where it's going to be. See? So when he comes in tomorrow, he will see something similar to this. It's very crude, but it gets the idea across of what to expect in terms of composition and design. Obviously, I make sure to let them know that what you're seeing is a really rough sketch of what it's going to look like. It is so that they have an idea of, like I said, composition, shading, and design, all that. And then something like that. More background. Darkness. Darkness! So, stuff like that, right? Like I said, this is just really rough sketch for him to see. I have all the markings on the drawing already, so when I start doing the shading and tattooing, I won't be this careless in the tattoo, obviously, because I want to make sure that I keep, details like that. So I go in after I'm done with all that, putting all that shading like all wild and shit like that. I go in and I make sure that I highlight the areas that I want to highlight, and where I want to bring attention, I will put more detail in it. But now, when the customer sees it tomorrow, he has a better idea of how the tattoo is going to look. Man, this light is not helping at all. Let me see something. Where's the display? Yeah, that would have made a little bit of a difference. Yes, Emma, this is a tattoo that I'm going to do tomorrow. Let me get that shade out. So I don't. The first time I did this, it looked a little bit brighter. I have to work on the lighting conditions in here for the next episode. But this is it, guys. Thank you so much for bearing with me through all the technical difficulties today that we had today. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you next week. Remember to go follow my Instagram page, is Gambit Sync, if you don't already do that. I appreciate it. And there's also my coffee account, Gambit Sync, and almost everything everywhere is Gambit Sync. It's easy to find me. If you have any questions, suggestions, ideas that you want to share, let me know. I'll be here. I'll see you guys again next week, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. again. Bye.